The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my honourable colleagues. It is a tremendous honour to be here and make my first speech in this Parliament, my first speech ever as a Member of Parliament. Getting here was, like for all members of Parliament, a challenge. We navigated a very tough campaign, and I have to give a particular thank you to people that I would not be here without. One of them is in the House today, my wife Jennifer, without whom I would not be the man I am today, and I'm so tremendously grateful that she has been by my side for this journey. And my parents, yes. And my parents, Jim and Trish, who instilled with me the values of hard work, the encouragement and motivation to be anything I could be. And that's a path that has brought me to where I am today in front of you, Mr. Speaker. So thank you to all of them and to the people of Elgin, St. Thomas, London South. I'm very aware as I enter this chamber that this seat does not belong to me. It belongs to the people of my riding. I vow and pledge to be a faithful custodian of this seat, however long I have the honour of sitting in it, and serve and represent my constituents. Now, one thing I love about my riding is how much of the wide array of Canada is embodied in my riding. We have rural communities and small towns. We have the fast-growing city of St. Thomas. We've got the incredibly vibrant community of London. My riding is home to beachside villages and fisheries. We've got small businesses and manufacturing powerhouses. We've got 1,400 plus farms, ranging from small family farms that feed the communities around them to large agricultural enterprises whose harvests end up on plates around the world. The County of Elgin, the riding of Elgin, St. Thomas, London South, is a success story, and it is my honour to be able to represent them in this chamber as their Member of Parliament. The community is incredibly vibrant, from Rodney to Straffordville, from Port Glasgow to Port Burwell, Eagle, Iona Station, or my beloved Lawton's Corners. My riding is made up of incredible communities filled with incredible people, and I get to represent them. Everyone, regardless of how they voted. The farmers, the artists, the entrepreneurs, people who have just made Canada their home for the first time, and people who helped settle this country and settled the community generations ago. But it's people in these rural and smaller communities in particular who have felt most neglected by the last 10 years of Liberal government. And it was their struggles that motivated me to jump into politics. As a journalist and broadcaster, I could not spend an election with the stakes so high on the sidelines. I had to have a hand in the solutions. Like most in this chamber, I spent the campaign knocking on doors. I spoke to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in my riding. And I want to share, Mr. Speaker, a few of the stories that have stood out and that I carry with me today. One was a retired teacher from St. Thomas. A woman who said she had voted Liberal every single election in her entire life. And I asked her, why not now? And she said, I just can't. Now, a good politician probably would have taken the vote and walked away, but I asked as a journalist one further question. Why? She said, because my sons are 28 and 30 years old, and they live with me, and unless things change, they're never going to be able to move out. That is one conversation I had that is so similar to countless more. People whose families could not develop and thrive the way that most Canadians dream, the way people in my riding dream, because of Liberal government policy that has made home ownership just a fantasy rather than a dream and an aspiration. There was a business owner in Elmer who runs in the machining sector and felt like the combination of taxes and regulations and red tape, and yes, the carbon tax, had made it so unaffordable to do business in his own community that it would be better off to just shut down and retire or to move to another country, to move to the United States. And that was before the threat of tariffs. You see, we were already on a weakened economic footing because of the last 10 years of Liberal government. I met one couple in London they did everything right. They worked, they saved what they could, They supported their children, but now their landlord is selling the house they rent from them. They were convinced, with the prices of rent and the unaffordability of a home, that they were going to be homeless. This is not what should happen in a country that has as much to offer as Canada. These are the stories that stay with me. These are the stories that are etched on my heart as I enter this chamber. These are the stories that motivate the work I seek to do here as a Member of Parliament. But these struggles and these stories did not disappear on Election Day. These people are still out there. Their struggles are still out there. And they deserve action. And that is exactly what it is incumbent on us in this House to provide, to deliver. I got into politics to serve these people. I got into politics to serve these constituents. I also got into politics to make Canada a freer place. In the last decade, the Liberals have put freedom in their crosshairs in more ways than I could list in the time I have here. The Liberals have tried to, in their paternalistic fashion, censor what Canadians see and say online. The Liberals have told parents how to raise their children. They profess on one hand to support press freedom while banning independent journalists from even reporting on them, something that is a fundamental charter right in this country. These Liberals have threatened the charitable status of houses of worship and at the same time turned a blind eye to rampant vandalism and arsons of churches. Some actually turning a blind eye was not enough. They actively or tacitly condoned such actions. This is a party that has imposed Laurentian elite policies on communities that never asked for them, and I can tell you, having gone through this election, do not want them. Mr. Speaker, I am here to tell the Liberals that their assaults on freedom will not stand. I am putting them on notice, Mr. Speaker, right now. I am here because I love my country. Unlike the Prime Minister, who picks whichever passport is most convenient in a given moment, I actually love Canada. Canada is the only country I've ever called home. It's the only country that I have any desire to be a citizen of. And it is an honor and a privilege to be a Canadian. I have always been proud of my country. I have always stood for my country. Unlike Liberals who wrap themselves in the flag when it is politically convenient, I am not a fair-weather patriot. And we will always, on this side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker, stand up for Canada and be proud in our Canadian identity and proud of our country. This means being proud in the institutions of this place, being proud of our history, being proud of the people who built this country, and standing for those who seek to celebrate and preserve Canada. Mr. Speaker, that is what brings me here. This is what I will do as a Member of Parliament. So I do not take the fair-weather patriots, those with their newfound celebration of Canadianism, with their flags still creased and wrapped in plastic practically, as they seek to lecture Canadians on what it means to be an elbows-up Canadian. Mr. Speaker, I will always and have always waved the Canadian flag proudly, and I will not stand by while those who were denigrating people who did that years ago claim to have the moral high ground on what it means to be a Canadian now. This is a chamber. This is a chamber that gives us who sit in it a tremendous honor to be a part of the direction this country is going to take. I do not enter into that lightly. I am honored to be here. I am grateful to my constituents and pledge to serve them and all Canadians. May God bless the work we do in this House, and may God bless Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. Great speech.
Questions and comments? The honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the fact that it's a new member, but I still find it somewhat shameful for the new member to try to imply that members of the Liberal caucus are not strong nationalists and feeling very proud and have a great deal of pride in our country. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I think Canadians spoke very, very loud and clear when it comes in terms of protecting the interests of our nation. They turned to the Liberal Party and the Prime Minister that we have today because of the high level of comfort that we were able to express in the policy positions that we were taking, Mr. Speaker. And that's the results. Never before has a political entity receives as many votes from Canadians as this Prime Minister and this party in the last election. My question to the member, would he not agree? And I read directly, and I quote, this is a mandate letter. Spending less on government operations so Canadians can invest more in the people and businesses that will build the strongest economy in the G7. Does he not believe that that is a goal that's worth achieving?
The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm actually proud to say I agree with the member that building a strong economy is incredibly important. Where I differ from the member is that this Liberal Party, with all the carnage it has unleashed on Canada, is capable of doing that or committed to doing it.
That's right. Questions and comments. L'honorable député de Rivière-du-Nord.
The honourable member for Rivière-du-Nord. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an interesting debate. Earlier, I was listening to the leader of my party who asked some questions to the PM about the throne speech. I also heard from my colleague for Drummondville. He was also asking whether, yes or no, the Liberals, like the Conservatives, will commit to ensuring that the measures from the throne speech will be applied with full respect towards Quebec and provincial jurisdiction. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, I have heard debates on procedural aspects of this, but I haven't heard a clear answer. Could I get a clear answer?
Miss London South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And while I would have loved to have been sitting here as a government member of Parliament, I can't address the member's question in terms of what the government will do. But I can say, and it's a very important point, that the breakdown in federalism that has existed in Canada, especially for the last several years, has been a consequence of the Liberal government, of which I do not believe there has been anything but continuity to get to where we are today. What they have done to provinces and actually created these points of friction that do not need to be there. So I can say that when the Conservatives move over to that side of the aisle, which I hope for the sake of Canada will happen quite soon, we will absolutely respect provincial jurisdiction, but more importantly, we will stand up for measures that support what Canada and Canadians deserve.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Edmonton West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start by congratulating you on your new role. I hope you will succeed in bringing integrity and decorum back to the position. I want to thank my colleague for his excellent opening speech here in the House, this maiden speech. I want to read to him, it's direct from the throne speech from the government, building Canada strong by spending less and investing more. Yet the government tabled the estimates yesterday with a 30% increase in spending for management consultants, giving an extra $6 billion over last year, which was a record year for Liberal friends at McKinsey and scoundrels such as GC Strategies. I wonder if my colleague considers spending $6 billion more, $2,400 per every household in Canada, as actually spending less.
The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable colleague for his question and also congratulate him on his re-election. One of the things that we put forward during the campaign was, as part of the measures we need to take to get our books back in order as a country, taking aim at these consultants who are getting rich off of the taxpayers' back. Now, Mr. Speaker, I have been through a household budget in my own home, and if I ever saw a line item for $2,400 for McKinsey or other consultants, that would be the first thing to go. So I don't know why the government is applying a different standard to every Canadian's books than those Canadians would be providing themselves. And I think this speaks to the broader point here, Mr. Speaker, which is that this is not a government that right now is off, despite the plan of having a plan and the proclamation that they were going to get things in order. It's not a government that's following through on that from its very first communication in this Parliament.